Greetings, ImSalv, and welcome to our show. How are you on this fine evening?
Hello, thank you for having me. I'm really good. How about you?
I'm really fine myself, thank you, thank you. So, without further ado, we have a few questions to ask you. So, let's start things off with, can you explain your journey in the IRF? Has any notable people helped you that you'd like to mention?
Yeah, well, I joined the IF in 2019, where I first joined the 24th Imperial Rifle Division alongside the Game Administration Division, Ministry. I joined 24th because I had a friend there, but I eventually left 24th again when he left too and focused on GA only, with a bit of admissions on the side. Then early 2020, I left IF again as a whole to focus more on school, and now I'm back here since early 2022.
Yeah, and welcome back because your efforts have certainly paid off, which leads to our next question. How did you ascend to the position of Chief Marshal?
Mm, when I joined again in 2022, I joined the 24th again out of old habits. I there went up to officer and switched again to GA since I liked that more, and everyone from 2019 was there again. I ranked up in GA and became a high command member there when Hero, the current the current Supreme Marshal, introduced the Bureau of Administration. I was chosen as one of 3 directors at first, but ranked up to Superintendent, a Marshal position, after Jonathan left. I stayed in BOA for a while until it got disbanded again, after I was appointed Marshal of Logistics, leading GA and ACS. GA then got moved under the Department of Justice and Security, shortly after which I was promoted to the new Consul Marshal rank. When Salvas then resigned a few months ago, I ranked up to Chief Marshal.
That's one hell of a backstory, and honestly, you deserve it. And let's get to your duty as a chief marshal. So, what are your day-to-day duties as a chief marshal without, leaking too much about your job?
I mostly lay out and implement changes to the military, which are discussed with Group Command, and I'm on papers here and there. I also help out with some bigger group reforms and security affairs within the NSC. Mostly, I look out in the military for problems that arise and try to bring them up with the Senate and the Council and solve them that way.
And in your opinion, which one is the most challenging for you to solve and do?
Like which problem?
Yep.
Mostly problems that involve multiple people which can't get along with each other because they don't like each other or they've had arguments in the past.
Ah,
There have been few things like that which are always hard to deal with.
so drama, basically.
Yes. Yeah, drama, you could say that.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I've been through a lot of drama as well as a communications head. And let's get to our next question. What is one thing in the military that you feel needs changing or improvement?
Mm, I would say the activity definitely needs to change. Currently, the military is very inactive, which you can see when going to Sevastopol. There are
Yeah.
almost no people there except when some trainings are hosted and then it's only like 5 or 6 people which join. I think this has mostly to do with Sevastopol not being attractive enough for people to join, and Papers
Mm-hmm.
just being the better hangout place.
Yeah, I was gonna get to that because Sevastopol is kind of like dry at this point. No offense to the developers, it is very well developed. I love the GUI and the combat mechanics and everything, but compared to Papers, it's just like obsolete, you know? I think we can
Yeah,
both agree on that.
yes,
And
it's a bit
yeah,
behind in development. It doesn't
yeah,
receive as much attention as Papers, which is fine because Papers is still the main game, and Sevastopol is just meant to be a training base, but
yeah.
it's still a bit too inactive.
Mm-hmm. And how would you bring like change to this problem? How would you try to improve this?
Hmm. Mm, I think we could take some inspiration from the government because they have been focusing on roleplay a lot, which the military never really did. We are focused on combat because we are the military, And
Mhm.
we don't have roleplay divisions. We don't have a Ministry of Labor, Ministry of Civil Affairs. So we are combative forced, which a lot of people don't like because they like to roleplay, which
Yeah.
is why they join the government and not the military. So maybe introduce some roleplay to the military, or yeah, I don't
Hmm.
know.
As far as I'm aware, doesn't like first Shock Infantry have this medical like division?
Yes, they have a medical division, but I sadly don't often see them. Like I see people from the how are they called? Gwestine Medical Services. I see them more in papers than the 27th.
Honestly, yeah, honestly, I've seen a few when Red Guard would be protecting me, for example. Some first SI offered me their medical services and whatnot privately because every EZIC member tried to kill me there for their own stuff. And honestly, I've seen quite a bunch, and that part of the military was pretty interesting to me because it was like both combat oriented and like roleplay oriented with the whole medical thing.
Yeah,
It just seemed interesting.
that was definitely a step in the right direction.
Yes. Now, let's move on to the bigger picture. How do you feel about the IRF in general?
Mm, I think it's performing all right. It's I would say it has gotten a bit worse activity-wise since I don't know, since I joined.
Hmm.
Mm, but I don't know.
Is there something you feel just isn't right? You don't have to publicly disclose it here, of course.
Yeah, I don't know.
Hmm. Yeah, honestly, I would agree on the activity part because last time I led a raid, I was in Stalka and we were losing a raid. I had to step in and take over, which is where I got all my current medals from. We had like 50 military, if I remember correctly, in one raid. And before that, in 2020, my last defense on Sevastopol had also like 40 to 50 military from all divisions, which was like one of the biggest activities I've seen. The other one was like a mass patrol I hosted in around 2019 to 2020. Other than that, I've seen the activity like drop quite a lot, as you said, especially in like the military Discord, Sevastopol, etc. I would agree with you on that.
Yeah.
So, uh, looking into the military's newest recruits, how would you recommend someone progress in the military?
Mm, well, I'd say you will first need to attend some trainings and to rank up beyond cadet before being able to join most divisions. And after that, I recommend trying out multiple divisions if you don't already have one set in mind. So you can get a bigger picture of which divisions there are. And yeah, because the descriptions sometimes just aren't enough. You need to try it out for yourself. You can always leave them again if you don't like them. And yeah, from there, you should attend divisional events, rank up within the division, and eventually host your own events. That way, you'll rank up within the non-commissioned officer ranks, and you can think about going to the officer academy to become a full-fledged officer. Once you'll pass that, you will need to stay active within your division, of course, and show competence and leadership skills enough to be promoted within the officer ranks and eventually fill a high command spot.
And remember, folks, the folks that are watching this, one day you could end up like ImSalv and become a chief marshal because he certainly didn't know that he would end up as a chief marshal. Did you?
No, definitely not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So never give up. Always put in your hardest work, and maybe you'll become a chief marshal like Salv here one day. And finally, are there any future plans you might want to disclose to the public?
Yeah. Our biggest plan for the military currently is the rework of the Officer Academy. It needs to focus more on discipline and convey basic knowledge of the military and IF to future officers because right now that is lacking. You will always see some officers which have no clue about how the military operates, how the IF works,
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that. And we will also add a warfare path to allow for progression within Stafka and raid leading. So we can
Oh.
train raid leaders within Officer Academy and not just Stafka.
Yeah, that sounds interesting. So I would like to ask this personally. There was this thing, I don't know if you remember it, like Warfare Combat Academy or something. It was VCA, VCC or something like that. Is it gonna be something like that?
I don't know, when was that a thing?
Around 2019. That's where I got officer from. It would like train raid leaders and they would be separate from your ordinary officers because they wouldn't go through officer academy. It was for those who were more combat oriented, to say the least.
I don't know. I wasn't involved in all of that in 2019. I barely
Mm-hmm.
spoke English, I think. Yeah, that makes sense. No,
Yeah.
I didn't know what happened in the IF in 2019. I was focused on GA and that was it. I was in that
Mm-hmm.
little bubble there.
Yeah, that sounds fair. For NCOs watching, be on the lookout for those changes. But looking at our time, that should be it for today. Don't forget to tune in next time in our next episode. This has been your host, Kuzrite, and have a nice day.